My name is Peter Such. I'm the president of the Victoria College of Art, and I'm here talking to Karen Louise Jones about the wonderful work that she is exhibiting at the graduate show in Martin Batchelor Gallery in Victoria, BC. Karen, everyone who's come into the gallery has been really impressed with your work here. You have 4 pieces here. I would describe them, for want of a better term, as minimalist abstracts. Do you have a kind of knowledge of that era, and are you in any way consciously following those precepts of minimalist abstraction?
I think that it does influence my work, definitely. I think that the courses that I've taken over the years at the college, together with what I like to look at in art, has certainly played a part in what I do paint. Sorry.
We're just turning the music down so we can hear you better.
Okay. So yes, there is definitely some influence from that era.
And we were talking earlier about the kind of act of painting, particularly with abstract art, and the kind of feelings that are generated when you are painting. And could you give us some insight into exactly your kind of emotional and intellectual feelings when you're creating these lovely works?
I think each one is different. I think that my paintings are very much a part of my emotional state at the time. To go back to each painting to try and analyze what I was feeling while I was painting them, I think becomes very difficult, because part of the process of my painting is being very involved in the painting I'm working in, and I tend to lose myself a lot in the painting. It's almost like a different part of me that comes out and happens while I'm painting. So to step back then and be able to identify, it is difficult for me after the fact.
That's very interesting. I think a lot of artists find that the actual act of painting is tremendously important to them, sometimes more than the product. But you have wonderful products here. I'm particularly interested in this one here. If we can move along just a second.
This side of
Oh, you can go that way or the other way. You have a kind of special feeling for this one, I know, and I've seen it coming to life, if you like. Do tell us what you feel is really special about this and what you really felt was your best accomplishment in this piece.
This piece was actually inspired by porcelain work, and I tried to bring out the feel of the porcelain that I had seen that inspired it in the painting. It was, I find it's a really interesting painting because of the cool and the warmth of the painting, and what I particularly like about this painting is when you look at it, there's an intersection that when you get to that intersection in the T, if you will, you're not really sure if the blue is moving forward or away from you. So there's some interesting dynamics, I think, in this painting, and
I noticed that right away, actually. I think a lot of other people remarked on it too, that there's a bit of op art in this as well as minimalist abstraction, in that you can see it as flat 2D, and I'm pretty sure this is not going to work because it's on camera. This is why cameras often lie about things. But when you look at it, it can flop down backwards. So you look like you're going along a road that goes into the distance and is transected by another street coming across.
Right.
And that happens because of the narrowing of that. And then all of a sudden you step back and boom, it comes back up again and it's flat.
Yeah, I find that happens as well with me when I look at it, and you're not really sure what you're looking at. I think there's a real sense of mystery in the painting. You don't know if you're looking at, maybe you're looking at space or if you're looking at the ocean. yeah, there definitely is some mystery, and it does play with your eyes. You're not really sure what's happening.
And I think the master touch in it is the gold, thin, beautifully painted, thin gold lining that goes around the actual object, the tea. And where did you get that inspiration from? You could have just left it without that bordering.
I think it added to the sense of depth. So it provided an extra sense of depth to the painting by having that there. Yeah, just a little bit of warmth against the blue, which is quite cool.
Right.
So it gives you a bit more of that sense of depth. And you don't see it so much on the camera for sure, and the lighting has to be directly on it to see, but the background is actually quite metallic. So there's quite a bronze, black, metallic effect to it, which is quite warm. So it really does help with that blue.
Yeah, it does actually. It looks as if you'd antiqued brass and then kind of kept the edges the original color. Can I ask you about one other painting, the next one to it, which I have an interesting question about, I think. Well, maybe not that interesting, but your answer would be interesting.
Okay.
When I look at this, I see this as an abstract and a minimalist abstract, but on the same time, it's a real take on that, in that it also, strangely enough, reminds me of a group of 7 landscape painting. Because the group of 7 really were interested in doing a different kind of landscape, where they had what we call 3-banded perspective, a very kind of foreshortened foreground, and then usually a lake or another perspective, which you would call middle distance, and then the sky and the far distance. So this kind of 3-banded perspective. Were you conscious at all that this was in any way a kind of landscape painting as well?
Not while I was painting it, I wasn't. Landscape was not in my mind at all while I was painting it. However, when I did finish it and stood back and looked at it, certainly I got the sense of a landscape. So yeah, it is interesting how it turned out that way. It was not intentional.
I know you did the sky first.
Yes.
And so, in a sense, if you had just covered the whole picture with that beautiful, by the way, incredible coloration in the sky. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of work in there. I can see how you scumbled together all kinds of different colors and so on. And then I was very surprised when I came in one day and you were drawing the blue line across. And I thought, oh, what's happening to this painting? And I hadn't seen it since then.
Oh, okay.
And so when I came into the gallery and I saw you polish it off with that beautiful green, with the tremendous texture in it, lovely texture.
Right.
Because you've scraped the green across.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a wonderful painting, actually.
Thank you. Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones.
Ah, okay. And Karen, I'm sure you're going to be showing in many other galleries in your future, and I'm very proud to have had a student like you in the school.
Thank you.
And I'm very proud of your teacher, Paul Perigal, and many others, but your final teacher who was preparing you for the gallery show,
Yes.
I think. So any comments you want to say to close off?
Thank you for taking the time. It's been quite interesting. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.